How are you guys doing? This is Ryan. Welcome back to the channel. I want to sit down and make a reaction video to a great YouTube video I just watched by Marc Falzon. It's called Surviving 72 Hours on Bitcoin at Bitcoin Beach. And this is in El Salvador. And I gotta say, I was really excited to watch the video because El Salvador did something unprecedented this year by making Bitcoin legal tender and actually trying to move away from the fiat system, because currently El Salvador uses the United States dollar as their native currency. And they're looking to move away from that and make Bitcoin their native currency. And I was really excited to see what it's actually like when you have feet on the ground and what this world looks like. And so Marc Falzon went over there, and I just wanted to make a video kind of summarizing what I thought of his interpretation of it and just overall the pros and cons of this new paradigm shift that's happening where societies are using a cryptocurrency. This is a very interesting kind of use case of cryptocurrency and getting adopted, and there's a lot of pros and cons to it, and if you watch the video you'll see. And I do think it's important to point out that Marc is probably somewhat biased. I think he's a big Bitcoin Cash fan like I am myself, and that's how I knew he was going there. But I think he did a pretty good job trying to convey both sides. Obviously everyone is biased, and he even points out in the video like there are things that I'm not going to be able to accurately say, because one, I'm not an expert at everything, and he's newer to cryptocurrency, about 6 months in, but you do have to understand his bias. This whole trip I think was funded through a flip starter through Bitcoin Cash. Like Bitcoin Cash was raised there for him to go out and go travel amongst the world and document what is going on in the crypto world with adoption. And there's really not any like bigger news in El Salvador, like what's going on there? What is this phenomenon? So understanding he has his bias is important, but also I like the angle because he's not a complete fanboy of Bitcoin, so he gets to be critical of it as well. But you do want to make sure you watch it the whole way through, because there is a really beautiful part about it where it's not necessarily like a crypto war, but just the humanitarian element of cryptocurrency. And there's a really good interview at the end that ended up changing his perception of what's going on there. But when he first gets there, he's trying to use Bitcoin, and he's trying to use the base layer Bitcoin. And so he's going around at the hotel, he can spend the base layer. The fees are expensive, and the money can take a long time to transfer. But of course, this is by design by Bitcoin. They want to have second layer solutions. So I do think he could have done a better job kind of researching going in. Like he didn't know what Strike was when he got there, and he didn't seem too educated on Lightning when going in. And I definitely think that would have been useful for him when he got there. So he went there kind of more green and wanting to learn how to use it, and which he does. And one thing I was confused when watching it, there's like multiple apps. There's the Strike Lightning app, there's Bitcoin Base Layer, then there's this Bitcoin Beach app too. So it was very confusing for him, and he essentially couldn't figure out how to spend Lightning within the first couple of days. And when he signed up for the Strike Lightning app, he found that it requires you to KYC yourself, know your customer. So with cryptocurrency, when you're participating on the base layer blockchain, you don't have to say who you are to participate. But using an off-chain solution, it seems like most of the time you have to identify who you are and go from there. So it took him a while to sign up for that. He seemed a little confused with it, and it essentially was a couple-day process for him to get the Lightning app going. And Marc is of adequate or above adequate intelligence, so I think this will be a normal experience for people that are going to engage in Lightning, not only in El Salvador but really anywhere. So he eventually figured out how to get that going, and he started having conversations with different people. And I'm trying to remember the name of the gentleman. I'll put him on the screen here, but the gentleman's name was Nicholas at Bitcoin Beach, and it was a really good interview that Marc did with him. And I found one thing to be interesting that Nicholas said about why Bitcoin and why Bitcoin is the solution, and why they want to go through all this off-chain things that are kind of confusing. And I thought he brought up a good point in terms of like how one of Bitcoin's strengths is that it doesn't really change. Where people in the Bitcoin Cash community wanted to change, wanted to increase the block size because we wanted to keep the user experience the same. But in terms of having a monetary system, in the monetary system we live in today, we have a lot of change. We have new people that come in and print more currency or move the interest rates here, and that's part of the problem, is that there's all this change. When if you want to have a good monetary network, there has to be like trust. Like trust is very important in economics and finance and money in general. Like trust is very important in commerce. So I thought that was a good point to make about why to be bullish on Bitcoin, BTC, but I do think it's an oversight on the issues with going off-chain. I do think it opens up a whole other can of worms when you create this more fractional reserve system, when you have a base layer network and then you trade IOUs of it, when you go off it, and issues with KYC and not owning your keys. A lot of things that make the base layer so amazing. A lot of people will say Bitcoin is recreating what gold did, because gold, was good at the base layer. It just wasn't very good to transfer around. But that's why the IOU network occurred. So they're trying to recreate that system. But what's great about Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash is that it's very easy to store and it's very easy to move. So, but anyways, I don't want to really harp on that. This isn't really a Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash. That's not really what this video is about per se. These are just the counter arguments and philosophy on how we change the monetary system. And it's obviously changing if a whole country is moving over towards it. So moving on, Mark still goes around and tries to spend money on the Lightning Network, and still runs into issues and runs into actually a newscast. And he tells the news there he finds it strange that they're mandating the law on people to accept it for commerce, which is troublesome, right? Like, no one should be able to tell you what you should accept for payment or not. Like, it's up to you if you want to accept something as value or not. So mandating it to be accepted is troublesome, and something I think everyone agrees with looking at this from the outside in. But there's something very interesting that happened when he met a gentleman named Roman who runs a non-for-profit, that they brought Bitcoin in years ago by an anonymous donor. And Roman's non-for-profit, apart from Bitcoin, was really focused on trying to build the community in El Salvador, because when you're born in El Salvador, most of the people want to try to find a way out, to go to the United States to create a better life for more opportunity. So how could Roman and his non-for-profit, he calls himself a dreamer, how could Roman create a society or do things to create a society where his children want to stay there and their generation wants to stay there and build a life in El Salvador? I mean, El Zonte looks like a beautiful place. It's a surfer's town on the coast there, but yet people are born here and just trying to leave. So it's really during this conversation where you see the beauty of having access to a financial network or a financial system is so important. And actually, that El Salvador, 70% of the population does not have a bank account. And setting up a bank account, it requires a lot of different things. But with blockchain technology, all you need is a phone and you can have the access to a bank in your pocket. You don't have to undergo all these rules and requirements to partake in a bank. Bitcoin is open to anyone. Open source blockchain technology that cryptocurrency gives people gives anyone access to the system. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care where you're from. And so you have 70% of the population just dealing really in cash, but this becomes very cumbersome when you really want to pay their utility bill per se. You can't just go drop it off at the utility company. You have to go through some other third-party system and pay huge fees. They said there's way more than 3 or 4% fees, way more than a credit card. People are spending so much of their money in fees. So after Roman points out the fact that this gives access to so many people to have bank accounts, so what they also found is that Salvadorians that were having access to the financial system were also holding on to their Bitcoins because it could go up in value. So for the first time, you had local people there saving their money because it could be something better in the future, because it was an asset, because it was deflationary, because it had the possibility to have future value. So you're changing generations. You're creating the opportunity for generational wealth in a part of the world where this was not even a thought. And so many Americans are bad at creating generational wealth, but you're changing the trajectory of an entire civilization because they have access to a system where they can store their value and that it's not going to be printed away. And because they're such early adopters, it's going to become much more valuable over time. So it was so beautiful to hear him speak about like this, not only hope and dreams, but that these hopes and dreams were coming to life. And it's because of Bitcoin. So what you really see happen here is Mark's tone really changed about his frustrations with having to use Lightning and KYC and all this. Bitcoin offered these people an opportunity to better their lives. And while it may have shortfalls and other cryptocurrencies could possibly be better, it's doing what anyone in cryptocurrency would hope really it would do. It would improve the lives of people. So it was really awesome. It was probably the coolest part of the interview. And I wanted to make a reaction video about it just to bring more light to it. After you're done watching this video, please go watch the video. I have a link in the description below. I'll put a card here. And I think you'll be blown away. Not only is it an informative video, Mark is a fantastic videographer and photographer. He's very talented, so it's very aesthetically pleasing to watch and very educational, I found it to be at least. And one of his biggest takeaways was that he was being frustrated with what he thought Bitcoin should be there or the way it was working. He was frustrated for himself, but it's not really about him. It was about improving the lives of the locals. It's not about, crypto billionaires going down there to vacation in El Salvador. No, it's to really improve the lives of the people. And me as a cryptocurrency enthusiast, this is what I'm most excited about it. And that is adopting it, bringing on the new paradigm, and changing the world and creating more economic abundance for everyone. And that's what cryptocurrency is going to do, and that's what it's doing in El Salvador. And of course, there are many other reasons to be critical of what's going on in El Salvador. The fact that it's being mandated and that there's issues with Lightning Network. It's not perfected yet. Something definitely worth keeping an eye on. But before the government even mandated Bitcoin on people, Roman's organization had adopted it, and it's already started improving the lives of people there. So you don't necessarily need governments to tell you like your life's going to be better because this is here now, right? You can do this now. And I think you're going to see a lot of that moving forward. And you'll see a lot of organic growth with useful cryptocurrencies. So anyways, make sure to check out Marc's video. This video is just really to bring more light to his video. So to help this whole thing kind of rank higher in recommendations, give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to Marc's channel if you haven't. And to follow more cryptocurrency content, you can subscribe to my channel as well. Tap the notification bell. I upload here every week. I'm also on a couple different platforms. I'm on noise.cash. Noise.cash, my name is Ryan Giffen, 2 over there. Noise.cash is a social platform where you can make free Bitcoin Cash just by interacting with, just like you do on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram, rgiffen89, and I post there pretty much daily. And then also Twitter. I should plug my Twitter. I do enjoy Twitter. My name is Ryan Giffen over there. So guys, thank you so much for watching.
And I'll see you in my next one.